Hey guys, what's up? My name is Fox and welcome to another video. In today's video, we're going to talk about epic gear sets, legendary gear sets, and the gear transfer function, which is one of the most important buttons that exists in this game. If you do not use the gear transfer function, you might be honing your gear set again and lose out on valuable materials that you really should not be losing out on, because this mechanic is really important. So let's jump right into it. So once you reach level 50 and then gear score 340, you can access the first Abyssal Dungeon in North Vern. Please note that Abyssal Dungeons are limited to one entry per dungeon per character, which means that you can run every Abyssal Dungeon once per week on every character that you have. Up to 6 characters, you will also receive the gold from these dungeons. Any more characters will not receive any more gold. Now, once you clear these dungeons, you then get access to a chest that you can claim for special materials or more materials, like also harmony shards that are so much in demand right now. In my opinion, you should always take the chest at the end of the dungeon, because it also allows you to craft a better and new gear set. Now, is it worth to craft these gear sets is one of the questions I get a lot, and the answer is yes and no at the same time. While it only costs silver, which is a resource you come across quite frequently in the game, it still is something that you are losing out on and that you are going to replace very fast, especially the one in tier 1. Yet obviously the positives of crafting such a gear set is that you are going to do more damage. The gear sets by themselves offer more damage, and one handy trick that you probably don't know is that you can dismantle a crafted weapon and recraft it, because you get the same amount of materials back, and so you can gamble a bit and try to get a higher grade weapon up to 70, 80, 90% grade to actually then have even more of a damage increase than before. The reason why I do think it is cool to actually make this epic or legendary set is because it will just make your guardian rates easier. Right now there's a lot of new players that do not know their way around in the game, and it makes your guardian rates pretty hard and nasty if you are actually pugging them. So in order to actually then carry yourself, these gear sets make it much easier, and this is one of the reasons why I suggest crafting them, even if you're going to replace them. But as mentioned earlier, it will only cost you silver, which you come across right now quite frequently. Now on to the most important part of this video in my opinion, which is the function to transfer your item level of your gear. Once you have crafted one of these legendary or epic item sets, you can then actually transfer the item level of your current blue gear or epic legendary gear, whatever you have, onto the other gear set. This is super important, because otherwise, why would you restart from scratch? Now, in order to do this, you simply go to the honing guy and choose the gear transfer button. If you then have legendary or epic gear and you have blue gear equipped, you can simply transfer the item level from your blue gear to the new gear and then equip it. It's that simple. I hope that really none of you actually started to regrind the new gear they obtained, because that is a massive waste of resources. But obviously this brings me also again to another point, which is when you hit tier 2. Once you arrive in Yorn and you have done your first Chaos Dungeon, you can then, after receiving the gear from the Chaos Dungeon, also gear transfer your plus 15 from the tier 1 gear onto your Yorn gear and receive a free 1 item level. Yes, your gear will be at plus 1 after you gear transferred from your old gear to your new gear. This is super important, because also there is no use for your old gear. You cannot transfer it to an older character. You cannot do anything with it. So this is your best solution for your old gear. I want to take this opportunity while we're at the tier 2 talk to also answer 2 really often asked questions. Now, how can you obtain the gear from tier 2 once you have done your 2 Chaos Dungeons? Number 1 is to simply buy it from the market board, and that's it. There is no number 2. Would I suggest doing that? No, not really. I also didn't get all of my gear pieces from the 2 Chaos Dungeons, and I was fine. It delayed my upgrading by 1 single day. It will not make a difference. So my suggestion is to not buy the upgrade from the market board, because it costs you faience. Now, number 2, you will not get armor drops from the endless Chaos Dungeons when you run them after your 2 usages. This is super important. I've heard people grinding chaos dungeons and being like, I'm super unlucky, I don't get any piece. Yes, because it will never drop any armor pieces after your 2 daily entrances. I hope this video saved you some hassle, maybe saved you some gold, maybe saved you some materials. If it did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe below the video, obviously. If you guys have more questions, feel free to stop by my stream, where I stream right now every single day, of course, during the launch of Lost Ark, trying to help as many people as possible understanding the game and the mechanics of this game. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day wherever you live.